Hey all. So this chapter actually addressed my criticism of last week in one of the most amazingly hilarious, full circle roundabout ways possible. Because right from the jump, and following a very heartfelt scene with Coda, where he pours his heart out and says, "I want to be the one to be there for you, just like you were there for me." We get we see a single man step up and say the reality of the situation. Everyone needs to start stepping up and doing their part because the world of heroes as they knew it is gone. And at this point, there really is no room for spectators. You're either part of the solution or you're part of the problem. In this case, just sitting on the sidelines complaining is not helping anything. And that's all there, and really that's really all there is to it. Like you either help out or you don't. There's no there's no other option at this point. But again, the most and the man delivered it perfectly. But again, the most amazingly hilarious part about this is who the man delivering the speech actually is. I don't know if anyone actually realized this from reading the chapter or remembers who that guy is, but it's the same man who was in the crowd alongside Izuku at the very beginning of the series watching the giant villain attack and calling him a fanboy. And now he's here again helping Izuku out. Like, Horikoshi is a magnificent SOB for remembering. Right now, for me, Horikoshi is a magnificent SOB for remembering just a tiny little detail like that happened at the very beginning of the series and bringing it back around here. Like, that is just it's one of those scenes that is just so hilarious, but just works so freaking well at this point because at the time, like again, as he rightfully called Izuku a fanboy, that's pretty much all Izuku was at the time, a fanboy. But now Izuku himself is, well, a full-fledged hero. He's the one that the man is that the man who called him a fanboy is now viewing from the other side of the lens now. And yeah, I like how it brought back how Izuku is kind of in the same position All Might was in that situation. Um, but one thing I also like though is how after everyone eventually works up the courage in order to step forward, help Izuku, and just choose to give him shelter. I like how we got to see all that. I like how we got to see everyone coming together to help Izuku from Hawks' perspective in this chapter, because as he said, what he's seeing right now in this moment of everyone helping Izuku out is the first step towards making his own Dream of Heroes, having the simple lives become more and more reality in these very trying times. But even more so than that, what we're seeing here is basically what pretty much what honestly in a lot of ways like pretty much people like All For One, Stain, and even Shigaraki have been fighting against the pretty much idea that the people within this society are all just spectators worshiping heroes, but now the spectators are the ones that are finally stepping up to the plate and actually becoming heroes themselves just by virtue of helping, well, the people they've perceived as heroes. I know it's kind of backwards, but I really love it. I really love the way it all worked out. Now, I do want to take a moment to talk about the small exchange between Endeavor and Shoto, because Endeavor openly admitting that he hadn't gotten anywhere until now, and Shoto's retort by saying, "We're doing this together." No, just no argument at this point. We're doing this together. I like how it kind of is Endeavor full on saying, even after trying his best to fix things, he still failed, which is a very simple scene with even simpler implications, but it shows just how much Endeavor has changed. Changed. Like we basically, Endeavor has been through an amazing growth throughout the series, and this is the epitome of that. But it's not it, and it shows just not only just how remorseful he has become, but also how much more willing he is to admit that he's made a mistake. That just it's in this situation, like Izuku, he kind of thought he could fix the problem on his own to protect everyone, but ultimately, in order to make any headway against the League and Toya, he admitted he does need his son's help. And honestly, if I'm being honest, Endeavor from the beginning, Endeavor's little thing of trying to like save Toya on his own from the beginning, I'm sorry to say, that shit, it was kind of doomed to fail from the get-go, even if he had found Toya, because the thing is, if there is any good left within Toya, Endeavor isn't the one who is going to be able to reach him. Like Endeavor is the catalyst of all of Toya's hatred. So just Endeavor trying to save him, I'm not saying it's impossible, but there is going to be nigh impossible, or at least near impossible, for him to reach Toya, at least without Shoto's help. But because if Shoto is there when they face Toya, Shoto is kind of the perfect one in order to do that, because Shoto, unlike Toya, unlike Toya, who's only experienced the darkness of their family, Shoto has experienced both the darkness and the light of the Todoroki family. So that in itself, it makes him like the perfect opposite to Toya. Like, Toya has only experienced the darkness of their family, whereas Shoto has experienced both the darkness and the light, and he's the only one, I think, who can fully make like Toya understand, I think, any of what's going on right now. And yeah, one of the big things with this chapter is we get reintroduced to Aizawa, and I'm not gonna lie, seeing Aizawa in his current state hurt me way more than the last time we saw him in the aftermath of the war. Like, obviously he was beat to hell and back, and at least we see him recovering in this, but seeing just Aizawa just with a lost eye, like a replacement leg, just the way we saw him, he's like it's one of those things where you can tell at least Aizawa's spirits have remained fairly up. Like, the man has remained a positive attitude about everything, but at the same time, it's like it's so difficult to see him in that state. Like, what happened to the man who? What happened to the Aizawa we knew, for better or worse, is gone. And he's still only a fraction of what he used to be, and it's kind of sad to see. But again, even though he hasn't, even though he's not at the point of being a shell of his former self, just seeing what he is now, it's just tragic, honestly. Of course, it's through Aizawa's introduction that we learn that progress is also being made on restoring Oboro, although I kind of would have liked more details than just that they're using Nomu as research to help with the process. Like, it's one of those things where I'm glad we got that little piece of information that they're still trying to do that, but I want to know what the actual progress itself is on that. Horikoshi went a little too broad on the details with that, and I wanted a little more in depth on just what kind of progress they made. And of course, we also learn a lot more of how the security measures weren't even entirely meant for All for One, but more for Toga, as they've now also gotten a better understanding of how her quirk functions, and they've prepared for her well, in its own way. I think is Horikoshi laying the whole spy thing to rest by saying, yes, Toga's the spy, but at the same time, just by virtue of us knowing this and that more than ominous panel of All Might at the end of the chapter, it really kind of just begs the question, and begs the question of, are they actually prepared? Because I kind of beg to differ right now, as just that final panel itself, it feels like we're inching towards that fated moment. It's just a matter of whether All Might lives or dies by the end is the question. In the moment of truth, where All Might is staring down death. Is Izuku going to be able to save him, or is he going to die? That's the big question, I think. But I think he kind of has to die. It's unfortunate, but I think it has to happen, honestly. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. I'm on Twitter, handle is Crunchyroll. Be sure to hit the notification bell, hit the subscribe button, and just share the video around, guys. Dead Knight of Enemy, signing off. Later, everyone.